Honestly, the more that I learn about astrology, here's the thing, this is the best thing that I heard somebody say. If everyone actually had free will, would I be able to know about your life by looking at your natal chart? That's the question. So it's this, because it's like, if you actually have free will, right? It's like, then why am I able to, or anybody who looks at your natal chart, able to tell you things about yourself? If you actually had free will and you were making your own choices, why are you playing out your natal chart? This is what I mean when I talk about this and I go on this tangent. I have gone on this tangent in my previous lives. This earth plane is like energetically basically operated by all the planets, yes, but mainly by Saturn down here. Saturn is connected to Satan, and then that's connected to like the black cube and all these things, right? So it's all connected. And I was thinking about this recently. This is why all the people in the higher up groups, they worship. They're in this group, they're in these clubs, they're actually worshiping Saturn, because they have the awareness that that's what's operating everything down here. So it's a vibrational thing. We're meant to overcome it, right? And break it down and break free from it, essentially, right? You want to transcend your natal chart. So it's like, we technically don't fully have free will. You have free will within a certain range down here. The range is within your natal chart, basically. And it's like, is that free will then? You know what I mean? So that's basically that. You said the more you get into your real desires, the more your chart makes sense. But that's the thing. It's like, still, do you know what I mean? Like, let's say you decide you want to have another desire. Like, it's nice because it confirms what you're already feeling. Let's say you have something in your natal chart, right? Like, let's say your natal chart is saying, okay, you know, you can be a farmer, and then let's say you want to go become a doctor. Like, I still think you can do it, like, because I do have that mindset. Like, I do believe that you can do it, but it'll be harder for you because you're going against your natal chart. So then it's like, it's not free will, right? Because if you had the free will, you could do whatever you want. You know what I mean? But it's like, because it's going against your natal chart, it'll feel tiring. It'll feel like an uphill battle, kind of like what one of you guys was asking earlier about not being in alignment. Not being in alignment, that's kind of what it feels like. Like, you can still do that thing, but it's like, it'll be a whole thing. You know what I mean? So it's really interesting. It's really interesting. You said that's what you've been pondering on lately, the more you learn astrology, and you asked me in my previous lives, you said, do we really have free will? You technically don't. I hate to say that to people, but you technically don't. You have a limited range. Exactly. It's only within the range. And this is what I mean. And this is what I talk about too on my threads when I go off. Make sure you guys follow my threads. I go off on there. And I hear the new age people and they're talking about manifestation. Oh, you can manifest whatever you want. Just visualize it. You can't technically manifest whatever you want if it's not within the energetic range. That's just what it is. This is what I mean. It's like, you can try to not like feed into it. Will either feel like an uphill battle, or it'll have a toll on you energetically because it's not part of your energetic code, right? So it's like, you want to break free from this by elevating out of it. Everybody has to break free from it because everybody has to learn it first, and then they have to stop engaging with it. So that's the whole thing here. Everyone's still feeding into it. You'll see mainly people who are unaware of astrology, okay, and they're like unconsciously living. Mostly they are playing out their natal charts more than anybody else. You said you also find that a lot of people don't have the mental faculties to manifest the big things they want. It takes a lot of concentrated thought power. Exactly. This is what I mean. But this is what I mean. And that's what I wrote about on my threads. This is what I mean, because certain places are energetically also gridded in the world. Because if manifestation was fully true, it would be true for everybody in the entire world. Do you know what I mean? But it's not for everybody. So it's more so like a Western New Age thing. And this is connected to free will. Manifestation is connected to free will. It's all connected together. And I think this is why it resonates with people, because there's a part of our awareness that is aware that we can have the free will, that we can manifest whatever we want, but not under this energetic structure. Not while we are operated by Saturn down here, which like astrology is feeding into, which people are feeding into. And again, it's mainly the like unconscious energy that's feeding into that, right? This is why you have to have it brought to your awareness and not engage with it anymore. That's the way that I see it. And only then you kind of break out of it, because Earth is kind of here, and then there's this energetic overlay. The energetic overlay is all the planets and placements. I literally saw a picture of this and I put it on my threads, and this is literally what I was psychically seeing. They kind of have all the planets energetically dimensionally overlaid around the Earth plane. The way that I see it down here though, just because everyone's always in a Saturn transit. You are literally always in a Saturn transit. So in one way, shape, or form, Saturn is literally controlling your life, and that's what's annoying. Like, that is literally what is annoying down here. Saturn is controlling everything. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's like, yeah, you have a limited amount of options, and maybe you have a little bit more awareness, but that's what I'm saying also too. It's like, depending where you're at in terms of the world, certain places are energetically gridded. So it's like, you'll have to break out of that. So sometimes when people move from certain areas that are very energetically gridded, they go into another area of the world, they're kind of breaking the code energetically. This is the thing. So there's two things that can take place here, okay? Either we're meant to break the energetic structure, okay, altogether, which is gonna take a lot of people to have the awareness to break. Either that takes place or you just don't incarnate down here again. So it's one of these two things that basically have to take place. But while we're down here and the way that things are currently, we are energetically gridded is basically what it is, okay? There is an energetic barrier, okay, around the earth plane that's basically operated by Saturn. The more you learn astrology, that's why astrology is kind of like the next level of awakening, okay? Astrology, numerology, you start to see that this earth plane is operated by numbers and codes and all these things, which is really interesting because now they're trying to bring through AI. Because them trying to bring through AI, my theory is that AI was always here. I feel like it's part of like the veil lifting. They're showing us now that the AI has always kind of been a thing, in my own opinion, allegedly, okay? That's just my own opinion. You guys can think about that, reflect on it. So while we're under this energetic structure, the question is, do we really have free will, okay? Because it's like, if you can read Bob that you just met on the street by asking them their birthday, time, place, and you can tell them their whole life, is that free will then? If he fully fed into that? Do you know what I mean? Like you fed into it. So it's like, what's going on here actually? This is why everyone has to have the awareness. The earlier that you have the awareness, it's easier for you, right? Because then you can kind of break free from it in one way, shape, or form. It's almost like a form of mind control is really what that is, okay? I'm literally like going here now. Back to what you were saying in terms of being strong enough, exactly. Because it's like people are energetically mind controlled in one way, shape, or form. So it's like you have to break free from, and it's perfect, it's connected to the shadow work, right? You have to learn what are your energetic restrictions, okay? What are the belief systems that you have internalized? All these things to break out of it. Only then can you access the manifestation that everyone talks about, okay? Until then, you don't fully. There you go. One of you guys said Tartaria has pictures of old phones. I think I've seen that, and I've had that train of thought too. Like sometimes, honestly, you all, sometimes when I go into my crown chakra, I think about things and I'm just like, sometimes I'm in the belief that this is the first time we're doing things. Sometimes I feel like it's Groundhog Day. Do you know what I mean? Like that's the way that it feels to me sometimes, like an energetic loop. Like we are always constantly going through a very similar energetic loop. It's like literally like Groundhog Day. It's like you incarnate and it's like the same like evolutionary thing, and then it comes to the end and then you go through it all over again. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of sometimes how it feels to me. There you go. One of you guys know what I mean by the Saturnian grid. Exactly. There's some sort of grid around here. You said, but can Bob do whatever he wants regardless of what his natal chart shows? This is what I mean. This is the question. Can he? Can he? Try. Like try and see. This is what I mean. For example, let's say your natal chart, right? Let's say in your natal chart, you are someone who is more of a creative person, and the natal chart, you want to be artistic, and you come through and you're like, okay, well now I want to be a doctor. Try it and see. Like try and see what happens. Because it's like, in that case, it's like, are you exercising your free will? But then it's gonna bring up the other question. It's like, are the transits now governing what you're trying to do and switch everything up? Like, do you know what I mean? So try and see. That's all I can say. I don't have any confirmation. I just know what it feels like from existing down here on this earth plane. There's certain things that you get restricted in, and that's where the whole question comes through again. Because if everyone had the free will to do what they want, I'm pretty sure that everything would be different, right? You're talking about the movie, the Matrix. They told us that they destroy the Matrix 6 times and rebuilt it. They get more efficient with destroying and rebuilding. Interesting. I never fully watched that movie, but it's really interesting you say that, because there's another person that I've seen their videos. Basically, they're trying to show that everything already existed down here on this earth plane through like olden day pictures and research that they've done and so on and so forth. Like they're basically trying to feed into that concept that we're constantly destructing and rebuilding. And they're also saying like that some things down here were already here, if that makes sense. Because for example, they show like an ancient picture from like, I don't know what time frame now, but like older, like back in the day. And they're trying to like show that like, oh, the intricacies and how intricate it is, like the buildings and how they made it. They're trying to say that like with the technology that they allegedly had during that period of time, it wasn't a possibility to build those things. So they're trying to explain through like the different, you know, posts that they make that like everything was already here, or that people are just destructing what's here and then rebuilding on top of it. You said, yes, you've been doing 2 years, but again, you think manifestation works all in divine timing, barely free will. This is the thing. It depends, I think, what you're manifesting, and it depends, because one of you guys talked about like the strength of the mind, because down here in one way, shape, or form, we're mind controlled, right? So you have to break free from the mind control, essentially, is what that is. This is why the shadow work is important. This is why the healing is important. You have to break free from, this is what I mean by like transcending your natal chart, using the Matrix tools, which astrology is one of them, against them. So you want to use it against them. That's how you create the glitch, essentially. That's the way that I see it. You want to learn it, you want to overcome it, you want to transcend it, you don't want to feed into it so that you break out of it. You kind of go into the next level, essentially. And I find also energetically, when you're operating outside of it, they don't really see you because they also watch people on the astral, allegedly, in my own opinion. So it's like when they can see you in the astral, they can kind of watch what you're doing. That's how Saturn works. You know, when people do plant medicine or like psychedelics, they always make those paintings with like the eyes around the earth. That's what's going on the astral plane. That's also Saturn, okay? That's how they always catch people in situations. That's why it's like ruled by karma and all these things down here, right? It's Saturnian, essentially, is really what that is. You want to break out of that, essentially, is kind of like the goal.